Matthew, Bria was here a little bit earlier, and she said that you want the team to be the most aggressive, most disruptive team in the country. Why did you guys used to do that, correct?
Well, last year we had a couple of injuries that slowed us down a little bit in the middle of the season, and then I didn't do a very good job as a coach of really giving our team enough reps in the press. We had a veteran team, and I just felt like it would sort of come together, and so I learned a lesson there. If you're going to really be disruptive in the full court press, you have to give your team a lot of reps in that, and you have to practice that way, and you can't take it for granted. And so, what we try to tell the team is we feel like we need to be what we can realistically be, and I think they can be very tough. They've worked extremely hard, and they've shown the propensity for a heavy workload. So I think that speaks to toughness. We want to be the most disruptive defensive team in the country, and I think we have a chance of being that if we can work hard. And then we want to play at the fastest tempo of anybody in the country. And so, those we may not be the fanciest team or the most intricate offense or whatever you want to be, but I think what you have to do is be realistic about who you actually can be and then work toward being that. So that's what we want to be: tough, disruptive, and fast.
That sounds like Rick Pitino basketball, especially when he was at Kentucky. What do you make of that? How good of an example is that of what you're going for?
Well, I think guys my age, when we started out coaching around the mid '90s, that's when Kentucky was employing that style, and I think there's a lot of people my age that learned a lot from those teams and learned a lot from that type of coaching philosophy at the time. And you have to coach toward your personality. And when I started coaching, I wasn't the certainly the most experienced or smartest coach about things, but I always had a real passion for playing hard and trying to compete and trying to out hustle your opponent and things like that. And those teams were sort of embodied that back in some of the great Kentucky teams. So if we could have some success like that, it wouldn't be bad at all.
Jen mentioned VCU as a team that you guys were kind of looking towards to play like. Is that something that she brought to the table, or is that something that you had thought of before?
Well, I think that they have created an identity in the men's game of really creating some pressure and some tempo with how they play. We did this not really copying anybody, not copying those old Kentucky teams or copying any other program. We did it in 09-10 was the genesis of it because we desperately just needed to be able to compete, and that was really the only way that team could compete with nobody on the roster over 6 feet tall that contributed. So it was not really any grand design or grand scheme at the time. Who I was trying to model was Pat Summitt because that's who I'd coached under and really learned under, and so we were taking a real traditional approach to being an SEC champion. And when I first got to Kentucky, we couldn't recruit at that level, and we couldn't approach it from a real traditional point of view. So we were able to win a championship in 2012 with a non-traditional style of play, and I think it's been good for us, and that's who we are, and that's who Kentucky is, and that's what we want to be this year. We want to be a Kentucky basketball team, and I think we've become known for that style.
How do the new rules affect that, Matthew?
Well, you just have to pay a lot of attention to your discipline and your defensive fundamentals, and everybody knows that the second touch is an automatic foul, and so I think this year it's really important for us to show a few different looks and not approach it from a one-dimensional standpoint. So mix in some man-to-man with some zone traps and really try to be a multiple defensive team, but always trying to do the same thing, disrupt the opponent. So you can do that in a number of different ways, and it doesn't have to be the same way all the time. And players just have to work real hard, pay the price in practice every day.